We start with a list of the 7 deadly sins. It's coming. There we are. Okay, we understand most of them, maybe except for sloth. So the best way to understand sloth is it's not just laziness, it's more than that. It's a spiritual laziness, and I'll give you a description. So let's say we have a man here who does really well in life. He's successful at work, loves his family, supports them, has enough time to sleep, he exercises well, he eats well. Everything he wants to get done in life, he gets done, except for his relationship with God. He knows he has spiritual needs, but always does the minimum for it. So this isn't a bad man. This is actually a virtuous man. But we know he's giving into the sin of sloth precisely because in every other aspect of his life he's driven, but not in the spiritual. So a lot of us are committing this sin of sloth. And you have to remember it's a sin, it is a choice. We are giving in to the demon of coasting. I see this demon in my own life. So I can be enthusiastic about a lot of things, a lot of spiritual things. I can be enthusiastic about exercise. When it comes to fasting, spiritual fasting, not so much enthusiasm. A lot of us, we like to talk about our favorite Netflix show to anyone. We're so open, but we're not open to talking to everyone about Jesus. We give so much time to our physical appearance, not nearly as much time to our soul. Now, one of the worst problems with sloth is that, we're kind of okay with it. So generally, it's very hard to motivate the spiritually lazy. Generally, they don't care. They're just so complacent. Now, the thing is, whenever I talk to people and the sloth comes up, actually, they do care. And all of us, if you are participating in this mass, in this online mass, you must care at least a little. And that's a beautiful sign. Deep down, we all want to be better. And that desire, we say, yes, actually, I do have a problem with the way I'm acting. That's going to be our beginning of improvement. Now that we're starting the holy season of Lent, Lent is the complete opposite of sloth. We're talking about spiritual energy, sacrifice, diligence. Holy Spirit wants to help us. So we're going to meditate on 5 points in this very short gospel. After Jesus was baptized, the Spirit drove him out into the wilderness. He was in the wilderness 40 days, tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild beasts, and the angels waited on him. Okay, the first thing, it says that the Spirit drove him out to be tested. That word drive out is the same word St. Mark uses later when Jesus drives out demons. So there's a connection between driving out and demons. So now that we're starting Lent, the Holy Spirit is going to push you and me to face our demons, whether we like it or not. This is good for us. Number 2, let's show the pictures of the wilderness. It says Jesus went to the wilderness. Okay, we want to look at that terrain, that environment, because it's representative of what's supposed to happen during our Lent. This is supposed to be a time of barrenness, of simplicity, of getting rid of distractions, getting rid of noise. Number 3, 40 days, the biblical number of testing. So the Hebrew people were in the desert for 40 years. What happened in the desert? They rebel against God. They fail the test. They also in some ways pass it because they learn to trust him. So we have to make a mental note. For the next 6 weeks, we're going to be tested. Good. Okay. Now we're more ready. 4, various biblical scholars know that when it says tempted by Satan, Jesus being tempted by Satan, this is a fight, a battle, combat, war. Okay, so will Jesus win the war by being obedient to the Father, or will he be defeated by giving into Satan's temptations? Now that we also are in a war, a battle, we need weapons. So the 3 spiritual weapons of Lent are prayer, fasting, almsgiving. Now the way to understand these 3 spiritual weapons is that they are signs of sincerity. So whenever you're sincere, you often make an external sign, a sign that costs you something to show that you're really invested. Because a lot of the times, everyone wants to grow spiritually. Everyone wants God's blessings. God, can you bless this? Can you help me here? Can you make this easy? Can you make this go the way I want it to go? Everyone wants it. How invested are you? Oftentimes we give a prayer that's not too sincere. You might say maybe it's a bit insincere. It's cheap. You throw it out. Well, how badly do you want it? You want to grow? You want blessings? You want to improve? What are you willing to sacrifice? What prayers are you willing to commit to? How are you going to concretely love your neighbor? A lot of us, we want, for example, an end to abortion. Make a sign. Let's see the sincerity. Fast. Fast as a sign that we're begging God to convert hearts of people who are thinking about having abortions. And number 5, the angels waited on him. So Jesus, when he was being tempted, he had help. Now that we're being driven out into the wilderness for 40 days, we too are going to have help. And the help for today comes from our Catholic philosopher, Dr. Peter Kreeft. He has a solution to sloth, and we see in his solution 3 suggestions. Suggestion number 1 has to do with hunger. So Dr. Kreeft notes, okay, we all have a physical hunger, that's obvious. We also have a spiritual hunger. Now, typically what happens is with our spiritual hunger, we fill it with all sorts of things. We fill it with other people, we fill it with activities, we fill it with stuff. Doesn't work. Now, Jesus does the exact opposite. When he goes into the desert, he has a physical hunger. What does he fill it with? Not food. He fills it with union with God the Father. So the first solution to sloth is you want to feel the hunger for God. And so this is what I'll recommend. This Lent, really encourage you to fast. So concrete examples would be skip a meal. Skip some food you like. Eat some healthy food that you don't like. If you're really zealous, go the whole day. Whatever, bread and water. The point is, whatever you choose, it should point you to make you think, I am hungry for God. Now let's say we're too lazy even to do that. Just too much. Can't even bring ourselves to do that. We are going to pray a helpful prayer for you. During the prayer of the faithful, Deacon Andrew is going to read out this prayer, and we are going to pray that you feel really unhappy. I'm so looking forward to this prayer because we don't get to make this kind of prayer a lot. I'm just going to pray that you feel such a discontent. We call it a divine discontent. We're going to pray that all your joy just is soured. I know you're looking forward to it just as much as I am. And number 2, second way to defeat sloth, have more faith. You got to pray for more faith. So, everyone likes to receive good things, right? Even lazy people. Yeah, I like to receive things. I like it. Giving good things, that's just too hard. But Jesus says it is more blessed to give than to receive. Why don't we know that? We're too lazy? You want to know why we don't know that? Because you can only know that by faith. The slothful, the spiritually lazy are always weak in faith. The spiritually energetic, always strong in faith. So number 2, we all need to pray for more faith. And number 3, Dr. Peter Kreeft writes, how blessed is poverty, suffering, and anything that destroys the most deadly thing in the world, the quiet drift to hell. Wow, poverty is blessed. Suffering is blessed insofar as it can lead us to think of God and prevent us from going to hell. So there are 2 ways this will happen, and I'll connect this with almsgiving, our 3rd spiritual weapon. If you see someone, you start encountering people in life who are materially poor, who don't have enough, they don't have their needs met, it starts to wake us up, right? You start thinking more about spiritual things, and why am I hoarding all this stuff that I don't need? This is not right. So immediately that suffering is actually blessing us to do something. And so then if we respond to that grace and we say, I want to give alms. By giving away stuff, we're opening up room in the heart. So let's say we give money away to a good cause, or we give needed items to St. Vincent de Paul Society. And we're not just talking about giving away the stuff that we don't like. That's easy. What about giving stuff that maybe St. Vincent de Paul Society needs, that other people really need? What happens there is we're opening up room in our hearts for God. So give material things away this Lent. We now finish off with a time of silence. I'm going to read off 6 ideas that should challenge us. Now that we're going into the wilderness, we're going to use silence as a spiritual tool to help us reflect. Usually, the problem is with our sloth is it's so deeply rooted in us. You can't just give one homily and suddenly it's solved. What we need is time for silence to reflect in our hearts and face our demons. These 6 spiritual truths they are ones that I say to myself. They're meant to be pointed because the wilderness is not supposed to be comfy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read off each one of the 6. We'll show them on the screen, and then during the time of silence after the homily, we'll repeat them so that we can dig deeper. And I'd just say, just meditate on the ones that hit you the hardest. Just meditate on the one or whatever that hits you the hardest. Number 1. Because of your sloth, you are losing spiritual power to help the people you love the most. Number 2, stop making excuses and face this demon. God the Father loves you, which is why he says in Revelation, I wish that you were either cold or hot. So, because you are lukewarm, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. Three, don't blame COVID-19 for your sloth. It's just revealed something that's deeper in you. 4, there are people in your life that want to help you. Talk to them about your struggles. 5, one small step in the right direction is a brave step. Can you fast? Can you give alms? And 6, God's grace is available. Ask daily for an increase in faith.